Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Bryan Lee Whatley. Our story begins tonight with a very special guest from Nighthawk Minerals, Jay Gutierrez, to talk about radiation hormesis. At Nighthawk Minerals, they are dedicated to the wellness and devotion to the application of radiation hormesis for the betterment of human health and a greater understanding of its use in alleviating human suffering. And because people are dying needlessly, that's why they believe this is so true. They educate you about the stones they sell, and they suit their stones to your specific needs. Their recommendations will assure you that you receive exactly what you need and nothing more, nothing less. Jay and Nighthawk Minerals believes God has provided in nature everything necessary for a healthy and vibrant life, and that natural healing is a lifelong process which is enhanced by our understanding of its life-sustaining gifts. The natural background radiation and the concept of radiation hormesis are the benefits of which have been thoroughly researched for over 100 years by scientists from many countries. So find out for yourself if this is the type of treatment that is the best thing for you. And after talking with Jay, I have to admit, it's pretty interesting. Our musical guest tonight is Joey Glenn with her song, The Look. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome, Jay. How are you today?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm kind of excited to hear about the information that we're going to be giving to our listeners today. I've never heard of this before, and it has to do with helping heal people with cancer. And so most people know that my mom and dad were both affected by cancer, and so it would have been great for them to have something like this, for them to be able to try out. So, but before we get into that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm CX-20 in the military Air Force Army, and I've been after retired for years. And now I look at myself out here, and I'm actually a medicine man. We work with people's health, and out here in Ghost County, Colorado. And I'm now every day. I'm a prison scientist, but it's great how this whole thing started. Back in 1986, I think it was, I was doing a helicopter mission in northern Wyoming. And we landed, we had to fix the helicopter, and I saw some green and blue stone on the ground. Didn't know what it was, but I was attracted to it. I knew a lot about turquoise, though, at the time.
Right.
And so I took some back, and I decided to make jewelry. I was going to put a few dollars in my pocket. And so I finally, after a long time, got permission to mine it. Started making jewelry. So it's tough business, anybody up there. But one time for nothing, nothing for everything. But when I started giving out some, selling some, and I started getting reports from people. And I was working helicopters also at the same time. But so I, being a helicopter mechanic, I have to know how things work, but I was getting, many people calling me in with like arthritis getting better, tumors getting smaller. And I'm one of these guys that has to, I have to know how it's happening. I've never been really too holistic or metaphysical like a lot of my counterparts. But I had to know why this was happening. So what I did was, golden Colorado, what's it called, next projection scan on it, and breaking down elements. And I researched every element of the history, everything that has to do with that, and I came to thorium. Thorium is a radioactive element. I didn't think too much about it underneath the ground. And I took this on the Rocky first, and found out the guy looked at me and says, "Yeah, Jay, well, like this." And because of the way we've all been so conditioned, a long history behind it, but since we've been so conditioned, my goodness, I'm killing people. And I was going to call people up and ask to buy their merchandise back. That necklace I told you, want to sell it back to me? But then I did research, and then I found out that we have a long history of this in our country. Back in the 1910s, 20s, 30s, and 40s, we used to use what they call, using natural radiation, what they call now is radiation hormesis, way back then with great success till we had Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and everybody became radiophobic.
Right.
So these are things we see that have been working and been proven for now, but we're the ones in the country doing it. Yeah.
So you were making jewelry out of the stuff, and then people were calling you back, and they had associated that their health was getting better based off the jewelry that they bought from you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd get people calling in, and not just like one or two. The reason, I didn't have like one person like get cancer-free, let's say. That happened much later. But I mean, I have all these people calling in. They could feel their hands moving. They could, all kinds of things. And there was just so many of them that I had to take notice, God saying, hey, take notice or look. And then I had to find out why. One of those people had to find out why this is working. I just can't give you a stone and hand it to you and say, hey, you're going to be rich. I have to know why and how it was working. And we've spent years figuring this out. And we're pretty close now. I'm pretty excited about it, especially with what we've been seeing.
So I guess I'm a little confused on how they would associate their health to a necklace or some kind of jewelry or something like that for them to put the two and two together.
Well, it wasn't so much then, some people would call it, I'm not sure if it was this, but ever since I've been wearing this, or I've been holding this stone, or using these mud packs we make, or whatever materials we sent to them, we were getting, I'd get them these results, all these results kept coming back. After I found out I did the research and I was doing the right thing, it hit me. It's like, you know what? They've never proven that natural low-dose radiation has ever hurt anybody, ever. And I said, they've already proved it works. How come no one's doing this? I just couldn't believe it. How come nobody's doing this? And so then I started mining and going further and doing it. I mean, and I'd go to, I kid you not, I'd go to doctor's offices with a, knock on the door with a box of rocks in my hand. And somebody would get thrown out. And like one of them, I have one of the better medical doctors in Denver. He left mainstream medical. He's been following my work since 2006. To this day, he actually bought a house out in this town next to our facility. And he does all the parasite testing for our clients now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but very interesting. We've, like I say, if you go off history, like I said, I've got rooms full of antiques and many, many stories where people have mined these ores out that were slightly radioactive and used them for all kinds of healing. And then what we did is we took it out of hand. We took these natural radioactive materials and we enriched them, and made them to where they just put out energy that destroys. And we skipped right on over it. And like I said, we've got stories that are incredible.
Now, I do believe in the power of stones. There's so many different types. Like you mentioned, turquoise, and they have different stones have different spiritual and healing benefits, and with mind, body, and wellness. And so, I definitely do believe in the powers of stones. And I'm looking at the picture of the stone, and everybody can go check this out on nighthawkminerals.com. But it's a blue-green kind of stone, and it does look like turquoise. It's actually a pretty stone. So I could see where you'd want to pick it up and make jewelry with it, because that's what, I mean,
well, the thing about it is now we even mine low-grade uranium more. But the thing about it is, unless you can, because of what we have now, the technology we have these days, if I got something that, everybody says a stone's good for you, but if I can somehow be able to measure it, if I can measure the effects of it, then everything's in my court. In other words, when I can measure electricity, when I can measure radioactivity, different levels and stuff, then I have things I can work with. Like I say, with the stone, it wasn't like that we were giving them to people and they were helping them better. We knew because we were able to measure the energy coming out of it.
Mm. Now, if you heat these up, they produce a, what's it called, a pyroelectric?
Well, yeah, they're pyro-like. When you go into stone, a lot of people love stones. It's amazing how people are drawn to them. This stone here happens to be held, it's a copper stone. All malachites, turquoise, anything blue-green is a copper stone, okay? And they're all held together with what they call silica or quartz. Now, most quartzes can be either pyroelectric or piezoelectric. Pyroelectric meaning with a temperature change, it's going to put out its own electricity, okay? or it can put out its own electricity if it's piezoelectric, and that's with torsion and tension. So these stones here, we've noticed that not only were they slightly radioactive, but they also, because we could measure with a standard multimeter, they were putting out between about 260 to 380 millivolts when they were heated up or warmed up. So there's a lot of energies out there working with it. And you know, amazing thing too is, see, we've been working for years now. I've been doing this since, like I said, 1986, and we've worked with some of the worst cases of degenerative diseases, cancer, MS, you name it. Very successful at it. But as doing some of these things, here we find out that there's offshoots. Okay, even though our goal is people, there's all these offshoots. Like we understood how we could help cattle and water, and even the bees, and even I mean, all these different things. You can even running gas engines. I mean, all these things come up. So you got to stay focused on what's important. And it was helping the people. The other things are just side, but we're learning so much about these energies. I think people really need to take a look, especially on the website. There's loads of information on radiation hormesis. And, you know, let me explain to you what radiation hormesis is.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Radiation hormesis, long history, and one of the best guys that ever wrote about it was named T.D. Lucky. He wrote the book Radiation Hormesis. If you go through all their books, and I'm friends with him, by the way, if you go through all their books, what they're saying basically is when the radiation goes through you, all right, it's slightly damaging or stressing your cells and DNA. And when this happens, it stimulates your immune system. Hormesis is a Greek word which means to stimulate, to excite. So what happens is that by saying this, they're saying that people, I realized that people were getting over their diseases because we were stimulating their immune system. That's what I thought back then, going off of their work, the theory of radiation hormesis. And what I'm really excited about these days, though, is, and like I said, we work with some of the better nuclear physicists out there, but we were able to, since we're the only people that work hands-on with this, we have for years, and we're mainly with people, but what we've been able to realize and able to validate for ourselves is that it wasn't even the radiation that was working with these people and what caused all these miracles we were witnessing. It was actually the frequencies that the stones were putting out. And we were able to validate that using water, mainly, by changing pHs in water. So, I mean, when we could understand all these things about why this stone you're mining is helping people, and then be able to use the science behind it and measure the energies off it, and everything started coming in clearer and clearer. And these people, and then after we understood that too, we were able to apply it to people better ways, so we knew what results to expect, especially with cancer.
Now you have different types of. I'm looking at. Everybody needs to go to nighthawkminerals.com and check it out, because I'm looking at some of the kits and stuff like that you sell, and I see the stones and I see some mud packs and things. But how do you really use this stuff? Because you got like little stones that go over your eyes. How do you use the product? I'm not quite sure.
Here's what we do. Is when you go on the website and you look through the information and you see you have a health issue or something you're dealing with, or even just questions, you just call our 888 number on there. And normally what happens is, give an example. We get a man who calls up, he says, hey, I've got liver cancer. Well, we're going to put him on one of our protocols, which we call a 3 Divine protocol. God put it together. It's the only way I can explain it. And what it is, we put number one is frequencies. Frequencies is the stones. And the stones we've been over the years, my wellness instructors, and we're totally legal, but wellness instructors, what they'll do is they'll start placing these stones on different parts of your areas and targeting different tissues and looking for different responses. What happens is like, let's say when I put someone like that on the stones, I'm looking for two things. I'm looking for acclimation. How energy sensitive are they? I used to never believe in that. When I was in the military, you're energy sensitive? Come on. But no, that's real. And so we look for that and the symptoms. Then we look for die-off symptoms. That's where people have too much yeast in their body that's dying off too quickly. We don't want to overwhelm them. And it's just mainly like watching their body's responses. And then, so like I say, with the stone, the man called up, he's got liver cancer. He talks to the wellness instructor. We make a plan. Normally we'd send him out a kit and a hot stone. That's usually the two big things we send to people. In the kit is a mud pack that people put on different areas. They put on pendants. Now, the pendant I made a long time ago for women with mainly it was just for breast cancer, but we found different ways to handle that. But we left that necklace on there, and because what it was doing is it was covering those, giving these frequencies in this whole area around. There was some people with lung cancer, thyroid problems that hangs over the thymus, all in that area. The thing to do is try and get these frequencies in the body systemically, and it's all over. So the pendant we've always left in there. The green stone's in there for pain, and many other things we use it for. Our wellness instructor will teach you how to use that. There's a mud pack in there, like I said, we'll have people put in different areas. There's a water stone in there. Water stone's pretty incredible. What happens is we have people go ahead and take that water stone out and put it in a gallon of water and let it sit for 24 hours. What happens is these frequencies, which we've seen always do the right thing, what they do is they go in there and they restructure that water. We've seen it, proved it. So these waters, anything that's toxic in there, it just shatters all the molecular structures and it just drops to the bottom. These waters, the pH is perfect. So when we get these people on these kits, and then what we use is a hot stone, a hot gray stone. Gray stone, when we're talking different stones, we measure them in our rock shop. We mine our own stone, we cut our own stone. We know what levels are working for people over the years, so they have to stay in certain ranges. We have no other examples to follow. We're the only ones doing it, so we are the control. So what we'll do is then we'll take a hot stone. Let's say I'll target on that man's liver. Okay, I want to get those frequencies right in that liver. After that, then we go ahead and follow through with the rest of the parts of our protocol. If anybody's interested, they can call and go through it. But the rest of it will be working with minerals and parasite identification and elimination. And that's through our partners with this protocol, and very good support. Everything has been going so well. I mean, our people are getting better, and I'm very proud of that. And we've been able to make this really affordable for people because, like I say, when they usually get to us, they're usually about boiled from everything we've tried.
Yeah, normal medicine is quite expensive. So how long does this stuff last, though? Because I'm looking on here, and it says, like even the water stone where you drink the water, but the water will lose its charge after 3 hours. So, I mean, between the stones and stuff like that, is this like a 30-day pack, and then you have to buy another pack?
No. The water will lose the radiation in over 3 hours. It'll still hold the structure we found out, but the energy in these stones that we get out to people have a half-life of 250,000 years. It's like a first aid kit that never expires. In other words, when we get somebody who's had a health issue, we call it the bifixum, you always hang on to those stones. Because then what will happen is you'll have a family member, we get calls like this all the time.
Right.
A family member got burnt or a brown recluse bite or anything that comes up. Usually call us up and we don't charge for it. Talk to the wellness instructors, they'll say, well, what tools do you have? And we'll say, well, I have a kit and I have a stone with numbers on it. We'll say, well, here's what you can do. So, in other words, if they run out of energy, come look me up. I won't be here.
That's kind of interesting because, just looking at the time frame on it and stuff like that I was just wondering, because most stones that I've used before, I actually have some stones that were passed down from generations, and I keep them, and I keep some of them in the medicine bag and things like that for different spiritual reasons, and also for wellness stuff. But it's the first time I've actually heard of these, so it's pretty interesting. What are some myths and facts about these stones that people would find very interesting?
Well, I tell you, the main thing is actually radiation, okay? And I'm not going to go too deep into science in it. But what we're seeing, I'll give you an example. This actually came out in the news last September, okay? Professor Edward Calabrese out of Massachusetts, what he did is he found out that the man who created what the government calls the LNT theory, which is the linear no threshold, which more or less means that any amount of radiation is bad for you, that the government goes by. The man who put that in place was a Professor Muller, who actually won the Nobel Prize for it back in 1946. Now, Professor Calabrese, like I say, he's out of Massachusetts. He actually came straight out and proved that the man lied. Okay, he lied to get the Nobel Prize straight out. So because of that, though, I think this man's responsible for the pain, suffering, death, and millions. That's straight out, straight up. So, but because of that now, a lot of these nuclear physicists, and I've already seen some of the reports going out, are actually raising the standards because, they proved the man had lied, raising the standards that they're submitting to the government to where at one nuclear physicist wrote me, he says, Jay, look at these standards now. He says, even the people at Fukushima will sleep better at night. So we've just been conditioned so wrong. I mean, like I say, I can go to the mine. I go into the mine. I'm a mile and a half down underground with my people down there. If you go in there, nobody's been in there for let's say 50, 60 years. You can see roots coming through the top. A mile and a half down, see roots coming out of the top of the roof. All the plastic hasn't decayed, the tires, the railroad ties, the batteries, everything that's still there is just in pristine condition. What it does is with these frequencies and that radiation, it stops decay. In other words, like I told you with water, it brings the pH in every time. Same with your body. It just stops decay. We see it all the time when we come out of there. And now we'll go down for 2-3 days at a time, and you know what? I'm 50 years old, and I haven't been sick in years. So, I just haven't been sick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because a lot of people think, when you look at when you hear radiation, people get so afraid of it because there's some bad news and press out there on it, such as the atom bomb with Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and then what happened at Chernobyl and things like that. But a lot of people don't. It's not really Hiroshima. It wasn't the fact of radiation that killed everybody. It was the heat blast and the debris flying and stuff like that killed most of the people. But I was looking also on your website on nighthawkminerals.com, and it was something interesting that said that those who were exposed to the low-level radiation are actually living longer than those who had no exposure. So that's kind of interesting on how all this is coming into play. I knew about Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and then when I saw the myth facts on your website, I was like, really? That's kind of,
Yeah, I mean, like I say, we're playing with what I am so excited about now. I mean, extremely, but what I'm going to tell you now, you won't find on the internet, okay? And I mentioned it briefly before, but because we were able to prove with waters and with many other things that it wasn't the radiation, as they said, we found out that it was a frequency, okay? And we were able to use these frequencies, like I said, to even change waters and things to perfect levels. Now, here's what's really exciting, though. When we found out that we realized there was frequency. Now, for years, we've been fixing people with the backing of the theory of radiation hormesis, the theory. And we always have a tough time explaining why this person could see again or walk again, or whatever, matching them up with the scientists that accepted the theory of radiation hormesis. But once we were able to validate that it was frequencies, everything made sense. And then here's what we found out that was almost, it's so good it's scary, is that these frequencies, whether we were using with water, with plants, with bees, with people, with whatever we use them with, they've always made the right move, they've always done the right thing, they've always overpowered and won. I mean, I've never heard of anything like that. Never even in my realm of thinking can even think of something like that, but we're seeing it right in front of us.
Now, I'm a, by degree, I'm a scientist. I'm a computer engineer person, and so I love science and math and physics and all that stuff like that. So you keep mentioning frequencies, and I do believe that we all vibrate at a particular frequency. A little bit. People are a little bit more off than some other people. They have their own frequency. Because if you look at string theory and quantum mechanics and all of those stuff, it's vibration and holding up together molecules. So you keep mentioning that. So I find that very interesting. But you also keep mentioning bees. Why do you keep saying bees?
All right, this is very, very important. Actually, very, very interesting what's going on even with mankind. So once we realized it was frequencies, okay, now there's a huge problem, global problem called CCD, colony collapse disorder. That's where we're losing bees at a huge percentage rate per year globally. In fact, it's so bad in China, they're hand-pollinating flowers. Now, what happened was, everybody's blaming this on pesticides, fertilizers, EMFs, cell phones, everything, microwave counters, all of it. Well, they didn't know what it is, but they're all correct. You see, these bees, their whole life is spent on using frequencies for navigation and communication, okay? So what we've done is we've gone ahead and put all these toxic molecular structures in them, and we send them the wrong frequencies. So now these bees are going out like to get honey, and they're getting lost. They can't even come back. Well, we had this, this is great. I had a guy to prove this theory, we had this guy in Virginia. He called us up, and most beekeepers will tell you now about the third year of their hive that they collapse. They become deserted, okay? Well, this guy had a hive on his third year, and he called us up, and since we knew its frequency, and water molecules have a memory, and you knew we could imprint it on the water molecules in the water. And so by putting a stone inside the sugar water beside the hive, we were able to introduce the frequencies into the hive. Here's what happened. Right off the bat, they realized that bees drink twice as much water. 2 weeks after we put the stone on there, the hive swarmed with the largest amount of bees they'd seen. They started another hive. A week later, it swarmed again. They started another hive. 4 days later, it swarmed again. They started another hive. A month and a half later, it swarmed again with the biggest amount of bees they'd ever seen. They started another hive. The very first hive that was going to collapse is already put out. It normally puts out 50 pounds of honey a year, a season. It's already put out 250. Right. Now, what we did is we used it with different species of bees even near them, and we found out what we were doing was correct. Now, if you look at the bees, here's what was happening there. Since all their frequencies are messed up and they were collapsing, look at their social structure now. They've got drones, security bees, the queen bee, the ones that take care of the babies. They got worker bees, everything. But they're collapsing. A great society to collapse. Because why? We messed up their frequencies and put all these toxins in them. Well, the same thing can happen. We're looking at the same thing happening with mankind here. So when we realize we fixed them at the frequencies with the bees and even with people, we think our job right now is to try to get the word out there for people to take a look at what we're doing and to learn there are other ways and what's really happening. The bees was a great example. That's all frequencies. In fact, I give a lot of talks on bees. In fact, I've got a nuclear physicist who's wanting to work with the Beekeepers Association now, and he didn't even believe it. I mean, I got farmers and beekeepers doing cartwheels all across the country, but all explainable. What it is getting the right natural life-giving frequency back, okay? And then the correct life-giving frequency is one that destroys and repairs, right? And that's what we've been seeing.
Well, there was that whole bee movie that was out there, and, the fact of if we destroy the bees and, a great deal of, you mentioned, China was hand-pollinating flowers and stuff like that. So I think if you disrupt the natural order of nature, we're in a huge, huge problem. And if you look at all the stuff that we pollute the world with, even EMFs and things like that, we're in a huge problem already. And so and a lot of people don't understand the power of honey and how good it is for you. But there was something that I get off your website on nighthawkminerals.com, and it says that honey actually carries its own frequency.
Yes, it does. When we introduce these frequencies into the hives, okay, that means, and these guys will tell you that honey is the best tasting, healthiest honey they've ever seen, and because of those frequencies, I say, what they've done is those frequencies are like sine waves. They go through and they shatter any toxic molecular structures. And they just drop it, just like neutralizes, just like cancer. Like we'll have, let's say, we had a woman here like with open breast cancer, huge. Right? Well, we found out when we could restructure the water with the frequencies of the stone, that's how you restructure water is with frequencies, and we fully submerge the open cancer inside the waters. Well, what happened is those frequencies would be in direct contact with the cancer that was decaying or producing acid, so we just neutralize it. Just neutralize it right there and stop it. Pretty incredible. But we see it. See, these are things that we work with here, and I told my people a long time ago, we don't go anymore by what they say, because we're just seeing too many untruths here, I mean, we go by what we see, And we've learned most of what we've done helping our people by the people we've worked with. You know, our clients are our best source of information. And it's been working incredibly well for years now.
Now, how do you guys go through and actually measure the frequencies? How do you guys tune into it?
Well, since we can measure radiation, okay, but with the equipment we have, we can't measure frequencies. But since we could measure the radiation, we would know the strength. Now, we know its frequencies, though, because of the way it would respond with certain things. Let's say waters, like with waters, there's only two ways to change the pH. Chemically, we have frequencies. When we did it with the stones, there was frequency. We did it with the beads. We do it with waters all the time. In fact, you know, we've got all these ranches around here. And I go out every other morning in a pickup truck, and I go out to all these water tanks. These cattlemen out here have trouble with algae. We're on the cattle tanks all year. And, you know, algae produces algae. So what we do is we put stones inside these cattle tanks, big, huge ranches, thousands of acres. And I go out there, and what happens is they don't have any algae anymore. The water's pristine. The cattle now, the whole goal is actually making the cattle healthy, though. It wasn't just getting the algae off the tanks. The cattle are drinking twice as much water. They know this, they keep track of it. Now, all the roots fell off. Furs look fine. They've all calved, no scouring. Haven't had to use any antibiotics on them in the last couple of years. All right? That just haven't been sick. And it's just incredible. Like I say, it's like we were finally was disclosed to us, but it was the frequencies. And like I say, now we know that it is. The way we apply it, it comes out just the way we thought it would, and even better.
Now, is this, in order to get the water change, was this just dropping in a gray stone, or how'd you do that?
We were doing, putting stones. We put them in a burlap bag. Gunny sack, stick them down in the water, a couple sides, a few pounds on each side. And it's absolutely. In fact, I did it with a fishing pond in Iowa. Worked the same way. Fish were healthy and fine, but we didn't have any algae anymore.
Okay. And so, in terms of measurement, you're just measuring the radiation off of that, and that's how you're determining the frequency stuff. Huh, that's interesting. I was wondering, I've got a Geiger meter and a couple of other things that I've measured frequencies off of, and in computers we measure like oscilloscopes and stuff like that, and so that's why my mind is clicking as we're talking about this. I'm starting to think of all kinds of cool stuff, because you encourage people to do your own research, and I'm a scientist by heart and by nature, and so I love to do research. And so as we're talking about this, I'm thinking about the possibilities of being able to get some of these stones and run some experiments on it, and how we could actually apply it to even greater stuff. And so you mentioned working with, Nobel Peace Prize winners and nuclear physicists. I have some friends who are nuclear physicists, and so I'm starting to wonder. I'm like, I wonder if I should get a kit of this and just try this out. Just to do some of my own research.
I am about this, though, but these frequencies. Now, a lot of people have already approached me now and tried to get me to talk to some people that know that they could duplicate the frequency. Okay?
Right. Well,
that scares me, and I don't think we're ready for that yet. It's just like when we had it before, when we used it with great success, like I say, in the 1910s, 20s, 30s, and 40s. What we did is we took what we consider these frequencies are as the truth. Okay, I mean, they're true. They always make the right move. They don't know how to do the bad thing. And then when you take it and you've also, let's say, like taking uranium and enriched it, what we see is that you created an untruth. All right? And so, like I say, when it comes to harnessing these frequencies, and it can be done, actually, can be done through a spectral analysis. But I don't want that, because I don't think we're ready for that. We're not even ready for what I'm telling you right now.
Right. I'm sure the FDA doesn't approve of this.
Well, yeah, actually, the stones don't even fall under the FDA's umbrella.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
And like I said, we're all medicine men. We have our own medical doctors. We're very, very careful with what we do with our people. Everything has to be very straight, above board. Integrity is everything. Right? And we have to be legal. So, and everybody watches for that. Like, aren't you scared? Aren't you scared? Aren't you scared? Well, like I said, I told you before, I'm not even in charge here. There's a bigger force in charge here than me. I mean, so I give all the credit to him. because there's no other way you can explain this. If someone gets a chance, you can read our book. It's called Because People Are Dying, and it's a really good foundation. It tells you how we got here. And a lot of good people in there, a lot of stories, a lot of testimonials. You'll see a lot of testimonials on our website. They're the real thing. The real deal, I guess you can call it, because there's no other way I can explain it.
Right. Now, the book that you mentioned here is called Because People Are Dying, the Story of a Rock, an Apple, and Cancer, and it's written by Jane G. Goldberg, Ph.D., along with yourself. Let's talk a little bit about the book, if you don't mind, because it's a story about you, right? It's your story?
Well, it's my story, but what I was doing is I was taking all the research over the years. It was my story, but validating everything that we've been doing. In other words, this wasn't just put together because we found some rocks making people feel better and created this big thing to make money. No. What it does is it goes in and shows our story, how this came about, and all the scientists, all the evidence and research has been done to back up everything we're doing. In other words, and it gives a great foundation. Now, that book was written a few years ago, but it's absolutely a great foundation, understanding what we do. We want to make another book because, like I said, the frequencies now I know are huge, and we need to get people to understand it and know about this. And because when it comes down to it, all we have is each other.
Right. Exactly. Now, the book, you can buy it off the website, and it's fairly inexpensive in terms of books. But you can also, I think, you can also get a DVD of it.
Oh, we have a DVD on. What happened is, like, my doctor and I, once in a while we'll get webinars. People are interested in putting a group together to do like a webinar or something. Doc and I will always get on. We show them a DVD that's been what I did actually a TV show in Minnesota a couple of years ago. It worked out really well so people could understand when they first put this protocol together. But so Doc has a many talk with people, and DVD just explains everything. In fact, you can find a copy of that on our website, even on the YouTubes. It's pretty incredible. I mean, like I said, what we do here. Look, I'm ex-military. I don't have a huge. I've been gifted to know a lot of medical things. We have a lot of support from a lot of people out there. We have a lot of followers because we're getting results. And we're legal and real, we've never hurt anybody. And that's what I really do love that about the frequencies. Is because when someone calls in and some kind of body response is happening, say they're getting a little swollen in their feet or something, I know they're dropping mycotoxins. But the one thing I do know is that the frequencies and the stones never have made the wrong move. So I know we've never hurt anybody.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm like all over your website. You got so much material on here. As we're talking on, I'm scrolling through everything, and I'm amazed about all the information. So for people to go out
everybody
there.
hasn't heard about this. Everybody, I've never heard about that. I went in a few years ago. I was in a helicopter mission up in, I think it was in Buena Vista in Colorado. We were doing Division of Wildlife, and we got weathered in, and my pilot and I went over and saw the doctor to tell him about radiation hormesis. I walked in his office, and he sat down, and he threw a book on the desk, and it was huge. I hadn't seen a book so thick. Boom, he laid it down. I just wrote a book on every healing modality known to man, right there in that book. He says, I know everything about everything that you got. And I showed him the stones and told him about radiation hormesis, and the guy was speechless. And he'd never heard of it.
I mean, because I like using naturalistic medicines and New Age type of work. I've been taking minerals and different things from New Age stores for most of my life, over half my life, and believe in its abilities. And I believe the fact that really the big daddy pharmacology places out there, the difference that it makes between natural medicines and their work is just the fact that they go out there and mine the plant and develop a science type of steps in order to recreate it and make it into millions of products versus millions of plants kind of thing. And so they study science. They study nature and what goes on in the world in order to develop the products that they have. And that's why I like just going out. If I get sleepy. I'm not going to go out and take a sleeping pill. I'll go out and take like a melatonin or something more natural.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I like about this right here, is that it's a more natural state instead of dealing with Big Daddy pharmacology. That's what I was saying about FDA. I know about FDA and how they block everything in order to say, oh, well, it has been researched, it has been tested, it has been run through our gamut of doctors and protocols, and animal testing and then human testing and trials and everything else that's out there. Well, sometimes you don't necessarily need that. It's great to have, but it costs money, and that's why medical bills cost so much, and they try to pawn it off on that. So, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
There's actually hotter radioactive material in most antique stores than what we usually give out. I mean, to people, some of the old Fiesta-ware, the depression glass, that's all radioactive. So, in fact, sometimes I'll take a detector into an antique shop, and I'll take it around, and I'll start dinging off, and there's always some poor lady at the cash register going, oh my, But actually, there's a lot of antiques that are radioactive. I got rooms full of them.
What is this again? What antiques do this? Because I love antique stores.
It's if you go find any of the orange Fiesta-ware in an antique shop, right? That's all the orange stuff, or they call it red, is very radioactive. All the glass that glows green, they call depression glass or Vaseline glass, that's all radioactive.
Wow.
Once in a while you can find a prize, and I've got crock pots here that were lined with uranium oil. It's called a revigator. People used to drink water out of, even in offices. I mean, it's huge. It's just like I said, we had Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and we dropped the ball. Now, the one thing I do love working with our people, and this is one of the greater things about it, you were talking about, is when people call here, they say, well, my doctor says I've got such and such cancer and this, and my blood says, and they're so confused by the time they get to us, they don't even know, what to do. So, but what I like with what we're doing with our protocol and our people and our doctors is we're making sure these people can understand what's going on with them, so that they're in control. It's just like when we get someone leukemia, we get the test results back. Most of the time we find out it's roundworms in the liver, okay? So we get the test results back. They see that, they look on the internet, they see that's what the parasite, the symptoms are. It always matches up what's going on with them. And at that time, they're in control because they know what to do about the problem. And when they're in control, the fear goes away. I mean, it's just incredible moments like that.
Right. Now I've heard of there's some really good wellness centers out there now that's taken place of normal hospital type of care, and I hear that a lot of people are getting better and better from these different wellness centers. And you've got one in Colorado, is that right?
Yeah. We used to run people here they come here from Australia, England, Canada, all over, Korea, Africa. But then after we built our foundation here, like you can see if you read the book, after we built our foundation here, we realized that we could help more people on the phone, not on the road, by teaching them how we did this. And now we don't have too many people come out here anymore except for people learning, like scientists and doctors and stuff. But, here's something that I found out that was very, very interesting last week. We had a woman here, we still bring people out here once in a while, and we had a woman here with 4-stage open breast cancer and 4-stage lung cancer, early 40s. She stayed here 9 weeks, and we got her, and then she was just going to Denver to get, the tumor died in her breast, and we're going to go have it removed. We went there, and the doctors looked at her, and she was in such good health. I mean, she looked like she was in high school again because of the anti-aging effects running around here in this whole building. And they decided to put her on 3 rounds of chemo. She didn't want to, but she did it. And what happened was the doctors, she never got sick or nothing because she was in such good shape after leaving here between the frequencies and minerals and getting rid of the parasites. She's almost home free right now. I mean, cancer free. And what it was is, I saw that it's like we prepped her up for this. And then when they took over at the very end with the oncologists we were working with, they were able to come in. So actually that was a partnership between the two that actually worked out very well. And I'm interested in looking into that a little more.
Mm. Now, the number everybody can reach you guys at is 888-563-8389, or you can email them at healing@nighthawkminerals.com. Again, that's 888-563-8389 or healing@nighthawkminerals.com. And since I want to say that since you mentioned most people don't come out there unless they're doing research or doctors or something like that, and how to get in contact with you. Man, this stuff is really, really amazing. I wouldn't mind trying some of the stuff out, and it's not too expensive either.
No, and you know what I like about it too is everybody's different, but I'd say over 90-some% of the time, people are start getting responses from their body right off the bat, and we can map out what's going on with them. So in fact, there's this guy named Vinny Pinto. He runs these discussion groups on Yahoo about radiation hormesis. And he's got friends all over the world. These people are scientists, doctors from Taiwan, Norway, you name it. And they've done the research. And these people call me up. And they say, hey, I'm one of Vinny's big people. Well, I already know they're healthy. These people are always healthy. But see, they've done the research. So they get these stones from us to use because they know if they do this, they're going to live the goal, which is a long, normal life. And those are the people I like when they're doing something before anything would happen. But like I say, most of our calls are usually when they have no place else to go.
Interesting. So, besides the website where they can contact you, are you guys going to be doing any appearances or any demonstrations, stuff like that?
Actually, you know what? If people go on their website now, because we finally were able to get away to travel and pull our camper around, because we love working with our people around the country, and they've been screaming at us all over from Oregon to Florida. At the end of September, we're going to be able to make one run out, and we're going to go see our people from Oklahoma to Tennessee, all the way back to Virginia and North Carolina. So you watch it on the website, and if we're on our way, you just give a call. We do this all the time. We'll stop and see your people or help people out. We've gone a couple 100 miles out of our way just to see someone who was in bad shape and help them out. And we've done that a lot. So watch the website and you see where we're traveling, and probably at least come say hi, or if you have anybody that's got problems, come see us, because that's what we're out there for, is to help people. And like I said, we've been doing this for a long time now, and that's how we learn the most, is by going out there and networking and meeting all the good healers. And
right.
People out there actually really trying to help people.
Right, nice. I like that. And your website is nighthawkminerals.com, and you can find them on Facebook under Nighthawk Minerals. YouTube, they've got several different videos out there on Nighthawk Minerals. You can follow them on Twitter under Healing Rocks. And again, you can call their wellness instructors at 888-563-8389 or email them at healing@nighthawkminerals.com. Just ask for questions. And the good thing about it also is to talk to the instructors. That's free of charge.
Yeah, we don't. My people love what we do, and we don't just pick anybody to be a wellness instructor. It's like they have to have this gift. It seems like. And I remember when I started out my wellness instructors, they always go like, Jay, gosh, I wish I could be like you and get some calling that was cancer-free. But after a few months of working with us, they get those calls. And here's let's say a woman who works on a farm, okay? And she's there, but she's a wellness instructor because she has what it takes and she's doing good now. Suddenly she's saving lives, Incredible. But it can be learned and it can be done. And we're doing it. So
nice. I like that. So is there any final thoughts you would like for everyone to know, whether it's about the products or about your story or anything in general?
Yeah, well, like I say, this is, when you get on like a show and like, hey, I'm a medicine man and I've got magic stones and we're curing things, bad diseases, it's hard to accept.
Right.
This is the real thing. And it's just like, I got this revelation or given to me by God. It was like, it's now. Now is the time. I need people to go to the website, take a look. If they need help and they need a different direction, look, even the AMA put out straight up that what they're doing with chemo and radiation ain't working. All right, they know that. And so, but and here instead of you can scream about all you want, but here we have an answer, folks. We have an answer, and it's up for us to do something about it. Go on there, call other people, do the research, understand what we're doing, because it's the real thing.
Nice. I appreciate that. And on behalf of everybody on the show, for the producers, editors, and all the listeners around the world who listen to the show, I find this very, very interesting. I love natural medicine. I love the science part of it. And it's going to be interesting on how this plays out. So I encourage you to keep on with your work that you're doing, working with the people that you have, for everybody to go out there and do some research on this yourselves, and give Jay some feedback for how you're experiencing better health and wellness with his products, or any other type of ideas. Or if you just want to talk to the wellness instructors, just give them a call, send them an email, and let's all just learn to live better, healthier lives on a more natural way. And I think this is some pretty cool stuff that you're doing.
Thank you. No, you know what? I have to agree with you there. It just pulls up. I just have a hard time. You know, like with me, is this real? Yes, it is real.
Nice. Well, thanks, Jay. I really do appreciate you coming on to the show, and like I said, I encourage you to continue on with all your work, and I look forward to hearing some more great stuff out of it.
I'll tell you what, I want to thank you so much for, having you and your listeners listening on what we're doing here in your area, and you say if we can help, that's what we're there for.
Nice. Well, you have a very beautiful week. Thank you so much.
Blessing.
All right, bye-bye.
Please welcome our musical guest, Joey Glenn, with her song, The Look.
Mama used to take me to church to learn about the golden rule. I would fight it tooth and nail. She would mutter something about going to hell if I didn't pay attention in Sunday school. Me and Jamie would sit in the back, laughing and joking about the week past, while the preacher preached from the good book. And in the choir was where Mama sat. She had a good view of where I was at, and if she caught my eye, she'd give me the look. And I would sit straight, look ahead, sweat beads up on my forehead. I feel like a fish on a hook. And all it took was giving the look. Robbie Joe, he was the bull of my dreams, but every time he came around, it always seemed I'd start just to stutter, my body shook. But I knew someday we'd be together. This kind of feeling couldn't last forever, 'cause every time he gave me the look, I would sit straight, look ahead, sweat beads up on my forehead. I feel like a fish on a hook. He was fixing to reel me in. My whole world would start to spin, and all it took was giving the look. 10 years tomorrow, we've been side by side, and to this day, when he looks in my eyes, I sit straight and look ahead, sweat beads up on my forehead. I feel like a fish on a hook. He was fixing to reel me in. My whole world would start to spin, and all it took was giving the look. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He gave me that look.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
At Taylor Gifts, we do customized monogramming and embroidery. We can monogram anything from a simple one name on a bib for a baby to a customized logo on a company shirt. We can make gifts for your wedding entourage and gifts for your friends. Label your children's items for school and put names on jerseys for sports. If you have items of your own you want them monogrammed and embroidered, we can do that. Tailor Gifts are sewn with high-quality thread on a professional embroidery machine. So go to the website www.tailorgifts.net, call 251-391-4354, email sales@tailorgifts.net, visit us at ETSY, and Facebook us. We are ready for your orders.
Welcome to WROM, Realms of Music Radio and Social Network. We support independent artists and talk shows, hosting a large discussion forum and an artist gallery. We also have a large social network combining the best of Facebook and MySpace into one. So make sure you submit your music to us and create a profile to promote yourself today. That's realmsofmusic.com, the best of music radio.
The Ghost Tales Television Network, GTN. GTN is designed to give the paranormal TV and filmmaking community the opportunity to showcase their talents and creations. If you believe you have what it takes to create your very own TV show and or short film and you would like the opportunity to showcase your creations, you may contact us at ghosttalestv@gmail.com or call 901-377-7166 for more details. Make sure you visit ghosttalestv.com. GTN, America's Paranormal Superstation.
Jackalope 105 FM on jackaloperadio.com. Your alternative to the grind of internet and FM radio. When we say diversity in programming, we mean it. Lots of stations brag, throw out a hype, and pad their numbers. Well, we don't. Accept no limitations. When you truly want awesome 24-hour radio, tune in to Jackalope and rock your routine. Jackalope 105 FM on jackaloperadio.com. Thank you for listening to the show. I am your host, Bryan Lee Whatley. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next time when another story begins. Until then, love and light.